Hi, I'm James,
And I'm Katie.
and this is our week 3 vlog. Run, run, run!
Mama used to always tell me be strong, son. Life is like a damn crazy long journey. No speed without strain, no money, no friend.
So this week we've done a ton of outreach. We did some adult literacy, we made some fuel briquettes, and we also went to some primary schools.
So adult literacy involved teaching middle-aged women to read and write in English. Making fuel briquettes meant that we basically used sawdust and recycled paper, mushed it all together, dried it, and it's a renewable fuel source for local villages. And the primary school, James?
Well, we didn't do a lot, did we?
No.
In the way of teaching, we handed out crayons to kids who got the answers right. So it was a wildlife conservation module.
Yes.
And then afterwards we introduced them to British Bulldog, which was amazing. Different school to the one we introduced to British Bulldog
Yeah.
last time.
We're just taking it around the villages.
These kids, I don't know, they seemed even quicker than the last lot.
Yeah, they're all very fast and
Really fast.
trying to run in flip-flops doesn't work well.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly broke my ankle a few times, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we also bought some footballs for them, which seemed like a good move because when we got there, all the kids were playing football. So
Yeah, but they play with, how do you describe it? It's like loads of different,
it's like I don't even know. It's like a mesh of like.
yeah, they mix like, I don't know, like old bags and stuff
like
and make it into
old
a
like
ball
leather.
shape.
On Saturday morning, we had a very unique experience.
We got to actually help with Bella and Simba, the two lions here. We got to help perform procedures on them with all the vet staff that's like flown in from around the world. A lot of them are from Canada. That's a horn. A lot of them are from like Canada, Holland, France. There's a lot of different vets here. Oh, and the Born Free vet. He came from Jersey, Guernsey.
Guernsey.
Yeah. He came from Guernsey. Anyway, So when they said we could observe, we just presumed we'd be looking through like the mesh at the lions, but because lions are so big, they all needed our help. So we had to put them on the stretcher. I was the IV holder for the 2 lions. I had to massage.
You're the tallest person there.
Yeah, so I was a stand, and then I had to massage like the lion's legs, so the IV would go in well. We just got to be so close to them, which was incredible. We were basically just doing a health check for both of them, so being that close to such magnificent animals was amazing, and probably once in a lifetime experience.
I don't think we're ever going to experience like that again.
No, but it was amazing.
One thing we have noticed
Yes.
is that everyone seems to be happy here, and
yeah.
we found that odd because at home most people aren't happy anyway.
They're pretty miserable.
And we're from a rich country,
Yeah.
and here, like, it's one of the poorest nations in Africa.
And yet everybody's smiling, everybody's happy.
It's a subsistence lifestyle.
Yeah.
I don't think money's a thing in many villages around this
yeah,
country.
it's just everyone kind of goes out.
They
in
just
the
don't care.
morning, gets what they need to have, eats it at night, but everyone just seems so happy. Like when we were walking through some of the villages, you could just see that everyone was like dancing and singing or just lying together chatting, and everyone just seemed very happy. And
Yeah, I think it's 90% of Malawians don't even have electricity, and I think it's a similar sort of percentage of those who do not have access to clean water.
Yes.
And it just makes you think that they're really happy, despite this. And a couple of nights ago, there was a big music and dance festival at the wildlife centre, and the main acts were all from a refugee camp, which was about 20 miles outside Lilongwe, and it has 33,000 refugees there. They all came up and said a bit about themselves, and they all seemed really happy. And one of them had been in that one refugee camp for 16 years.
We guess it just kind of makes us realise how lucky we are. I know it sounds cliche because I'm pretty sure most people come back and are just like, ooh, humbled. But you truly are when you see people living on $1 a day and they're so happy and they don't complain. And then it's us, and we have everything.
Well, we have access to electricity. We have access to clean water. We have access to food that won't make us ill.
Yeah, here a lot of the food will make them ill, but everyone's just so grateful, and there's a lot to learn from that you wouldn't think. We just thought coming to a wildlife sanctuary, we didn't realise we'd be so immersed in the culture as well. But it's very humbling. It's honestly been the best bit for me, just learning about it.
Yeah.
And it's taught me not to take anything for granted, because if I can complain so much, even though I have basically anything I'd want, and everyone here is so happy, and yet they are on the poverty line, it really teaches you that a lot of stuff you think you need, you don't actually need. And also teaches you not to compare yourself to people constantly. We're based in a consumer-based culture, so we're constantly going on wants and what we think we want, and it's not actually what we need. But here, people are actually living for what they need, and that's all they've got. And
But they're happy with that.
They're happy. I think they're happy with the simplistic lifestyle. We're always wanting more. Because with consumer culture, you're made to believe that you constantly need more, and you constantly need the latest fashions, latest trends, just latest everything. But with here, they're literally living, I don't know, hand to mouth every single day. Just they make what they need to that day. They get the food they need.
Yeah.
There's no real expectations, and we expected everyone to be living in such poverty to be quite
Downbeat.
Yeah, but everyone's
not.
just so happy. And I guess it's just because there's literally no expectations. No one is on their phone the entire time. They're actually having conversations, and they seem happy. And like all the workers here, no one's ever really on their phone. They're constantly chatting and singing and just very upbeat. And I find that very humbling.
This is our last night in Malawi, and although it's been an extremely tough 4 weeks in terms of the kind of work we've had to do, I feel as if I've learned an awful lot about Malawi, and about how to live and what not to complain about. We don't need to complain about, I don't know, slightly slow service at a restaurant in the UK.
Or just
It's just not a big deal.
it's not.
it's not something to get really on edge about.
Yeah, basically everything we complained about before, we realise it's not that big a deal anymore, because it could be so much worse. But it's not even that, because it's just teaching us that you can be happy with so little, and you don't need to focus on, I guess, consumer culture so much. Malawi's made us realise that even though it's been tough, and it's been like stressful not having water most nights, or not having just a lot of things, and just
recently there's either been a power outage or the water in our accommodation hasn't been working, but
you learn to deal with it. Like,
you
weirdly,
just get around it.
Woke up this morning, no water. Got home last night, no power. But you find ways to deal with it, and you find that it doesn't, I guess, bring you down so much as it would 4 weeks ago, and you learn that it could be worse, and that people here make the most of it, and that we have everything, and people here would probably, I don't know if they'd want our life more, but they'd probably, if they had what we had, they'd appreciate it so much, and that we need to learn to do that too.
Thank you very much for watching.
Yes, greatly appreciated. Hope you made it to the end. Please,
if you have, well done.
Yeah, please subscribe, and thank you. Really appreciate all the support.